NSFW. What is the worst thing you've ever seen or heard in a game of truth or dare? When I was 15, a girl I was trying to date invited my friend and me over to a house where she was babysitting. When we arrived, she was there with 4 of her girlfriends, including her one extremely slutty and rumored stew-wielding friend. After drinking everything in the house she thought the parents wouldn't miss, we played truth or dare. Eventually, the girl I liked dared me to go have sex in the master bedroom with the slut. I passed and took truth, but my friend took the dare and went off with her. They came back out about 5 minutes later, and no one believed they had done anything. 9 months after that, everybody believed them. One of the popular girls in my high school admitted to regularly pooping in her hand. She took truth and was asked to tell an embarrassing secret or something like that. She said that she was always embarrassed whenever there was a splashing sound in the toilet when she went to poop. So she'd always poop in her hand and then slide it quietly into the water. She went from being a popular girl to being the hand poop girl pretty quick. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Kind stranger. I'd shake your hand, but I've learned that it's best not to. No telling what kind of sheet you've been touching. Kiss the most beautiful girl in the room. Proceed to not kiss your girlfriend. Perks of being a wallflower. That scene is so awkward. I literally can't watch it. Great movie though. My friends and I loved this game in high school. One day I came up with the best dare. You had to be blindfolded, and someone would kiss you and you'd have to guess who it was. Well, eventually everyone just wanted to play that game, so we did for a few rounds. There were like 8 or 9 of us, so one person would be blindfolded, and everyone would vote on who had to kiss them. It was always a good mix of genders. Guy guy, guy girl, girl girl. Welp. It got boring eventually because everyone was just doing a light peck on the lips. So we invented round 2. Round 2. You had to kiss them for 3 seconds and actually move your lips a little bit, like a real kiss. Round 3. You had to make out with them for 5-7 seconds. Round 4. You had to use your hands and touch their face and shoulders. On particularly wild nights we would get to round 5, where you would have to actually straddle the person and make out furiously with them for 10 seconds. It was a great game though. And to be honest, it taught me how to make out properly because at the end we rated everyone's kissing. When asked to present a deep secret about themselves, one of the really hot girls, this was high school, straight up admitted to using whipped cream to get her cat, and their tongues like sandpaper, to lick her. The awkwardness escalated exponentially like a nuke in the room, seeping into the very core of every living being present. I got dared to use a zipline that nobody had likely touched in decades. So we climbed up a mountain while wasted in the middle of the night. Found that my friend was not bullitting and that it actually did exist. Used our zip on it and sailed over a 1500 foot drop. And then the thought occurred to me that I had no way of getting back. And I had not even brought a flashlight with me. And had absolutely no knowledge of part of the mountain I was on. So I basically stood in place for 7 hours or so. I don't know if that was the worst, but it was definitely the most stupid. Especially considering that the whole point of the game was to get with some girls who were no longer in a partying mood after I disappeared into the night. The best truth I have heard came about 6 years ago. A girl walked in on her parents having sex with another couple. Edit. Wow. I can't believe the number of votes. Thank you. For those asking. Amongst the group of us playing at the time, a friend of this person knew about this story, so asked if she had ever seen her parents had sex. She just elaborated slightly from the simple yes answer. I wasn't participating. But there was one weird night when one of my daughters had a bunch of friends over. My wife and I were sitting downstairs while they were up in her room apparently playing truth or dare. Over the course of a couple hours we experienced some pretty weird stuff. 2 of my daughter's friends came running downstairs and started twerking before running off again. My daughter came down and said, "Mommy, Daddy, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant because I'm a whore." Later we heard a splash outside by the pool, and a minute later a couple girls come running into the house wrapped in towels and dripping wet. I had to go tell them to not jump out the window anymore, and that pretty much stopped the shenanigans. At age 18. While at a friend's house digging around looking for a lighter, he finds an adult toy in his single dad's room. It was one of those hot pink, sparkly dildos with the rabbit thing on it. Something that didn't really seem like a guy toy, and it was in the spare nightstand, so we assumed maybe an old girlfriend's or something. Fast forward a few weeks later, his dad is out of town. There are a few of us over playing truth or dare, and I dare him to do something to his dad's dildo. At first his face turned 10 shades of red, embarrassed in front of everyone else. But then he manned up, grabbed it with a Ziploc bag worn like a glove, then rubbed some cut open habanero peppers all over it. This was a Friday night and his dad was supposed to be back Saturday. Saturday night rolls around and he, our other friend, and myself are all at his house. Quietly. As the one sneaking in, and I had been drinking. This was roughly 8-ish. As the other friend and I stood in the driveway, we hear the most god-awful, blood-curdling scream. The type of scream that sounds like someone being murdered. We dash in just in time to meet our friend in the hallway as he flies into his dad's room. His mom, dad's ex-wife, is in the floor but naked, curled up in a ball screaming her head off. Apparently his mom and dad had been screwing around behind the family's back. A hospital trip followed, and after spending the night in the ER, not knowing WTF happened, they ended up coming out in the open, getting back together, and then remarried. That was 12 years ago and they are still together. For their wedding present I gave them a jar of habaneros that they still don't understand to this day. Edit. Wow. This really blew up. Capital I don't know what to say. I feel like I just won an award and didn't have my speech ready. Thank you. Ryan, if you are out there, your mom's burning bush has become mildly famous. I never knew Reddit liked a good fiery love story. One dare was to bake cookies whilst nude. But then we were out of sugar, so a follow-up dare required a second person going to the neighbor's door in underwear to ask for a cup of sugar. It worked and the cookies were delicious. Grad student neighbors didn't even bat an eye. I got really drunk in a game with some workmates and I had to get out my testicles and touch them against one of the other guy's testicles. Probably pretty tame compared to what else will be on this thread. A girl at a party I once went to got dared to sit on a small lava lamp. As in, sit on it if you get what I mean. Anyway, this thing was on. And hot. Poor girl sat for 2 seconds and jumped right back up. Turned out she gave herself burns on the inside of her lady parts. A friend of mine back in high school was asked where the weirdest place he had ever masturbated was. His answer was a train, which really isn't too weird, still pretty weird, but he then, for whatever reason, didn't stop there, and told us where he put the mess. Afterwards, when then train staff came through, he ducking ate it. Again. He just told that last part without anyone even asking. It wasn't really a dare, but a drunken friend said he'd show us how much of a man he was. In quick succession he chugged about 250 milliliters of Jack Daniels, snorted a line of salt and poured vinegar into one eye and squeezed a lemon in the other. Everybody laughed at him because he had to run to the bathroom crying to wash his eyes. When I was about 15 years old, my HS soccer team had a co-ed, girls-guys team, spaghetti dinner that turned into a co-ed sleepover. Maybe about 6 guys and 5 girls. We ended up taking a bottle of really cheap Mr. Boston vodka from this kid's parents and all of us began drinking much faster than 15-year-olds should. I was beginning to feel pretty nauseous but was determined to stay in the game of truth or dare that we had started. I was then dared to kiss the bare ass cheek of one of the more crude chicks on the girls' team. As I pressed my lips to her cheek, she thought it would be hilarious to grab the back of my head and rip as right in my face. The heat and smell were too much for my stomach to bear, and as I pulled away I barfed all over her back and was playing truth or dare with a few friends. My best friend. And my best friend's wife. When they married they were both virgins by choice. From a traditional household. We're having fun and it comes to my turn. I ask my best friend's wife truth or dare? She answers truth. My friend and I would always joke about ourselves despising Nal 6. And being disgusted by it. So I asked as a joke. Have you ever had Nal 6? Yes. She answers. Her husband turns bright red and says no we haven't. The two leave shortly after. Turns out she was a traditional virgin but had lost her Nal virginity back in high school. We didn't really talk after that. Just a regular dare. My friends and I got one of our friends to drink month-old bong water. Looked like black sludge water that smelled terrible. Told him it would get him real high. More of a trick than a dare I guess. He did it and hurled instantly. People puking black liquids out is pretty ducked up to see. When I was 16 I played truth or dare whilst really drunk. Bad mistake. I got asked what the most humiliating thing I've ever done was. Well, drunk me thought telling people about the time I had a wank and managed to unload so hard I covered my own face was a good idea. Never lived it down. During my time in the Navy I ended up at a party with a group of maybe 10 people. It was a mixed group of males and females. Also Navy personnel and civilians. After a few hours of normal party hanging out the game started. It went downhill fast. And ended with a co-ed naked wrestling tournament. A bit late but my friend answered a truth and told everyone that he has 2 buttholes. Long story short I've seen it and the guy has M. Edit. What I've learned is there are many damn people with 2 assholes. Color me surprised. It's not that bad comparatively. But it was still unpleasant. In 4th grade. We played truth or dare at my birthday party. It was all dudes. Which made it kind of weird. One friend dared another friend to get nude. Which was really weird. So my pal begins a striptease as we all beg him to stop. He got down to his stained briefs, dude did not let that big dick drain all the way, and was just beginning to lower them when we heard a scream. My 7-year-old sister had just walked in the room to see a scrawny self-proclaimed street rapping gangster meteorologist busting out his hog. He dove into his sleeping bag and didn't talk to anyone the rest of the night. We decided video games were a lot more fun and immediately ended the game. My friend denied anything ever happened the next day. Edit. Clarification on the street rapping gangster meteorologist bit. Copied from another reply. This dude was obsessed with weather in elementary school. All he ever talked about. He was a white kid who moved to our very white city from a very diverse, low-income city. So he talked like a thug while going on about cold fronts. He ended up becoming a meteorologist. Though. So hey. Good for him. Went to a kinky elf party once for Christmas. Good mix of a crowd until we all got sheet-faced. Some guy got dared to be blindfolded and get blown by some random girl. Guy at the party who had always denied being gay. Decided it would be funny to blow him. That's how my friends Tom and Chad met and got married. One time I was dared to kiss this girl and I passed because I was in a long-going relationship with a girl I really love. 3 years, and so I did this instead. I poured really hard rum on my hand and lit it. I had to keep it lit for as long as I could. Once it got too hot to handle I had to put it out. Part of the dare though was to put it out with the watermelon next to us. So I proceeded to punch it open with my flaming fist and stick my hand in it for 3 long annoying sticky hours. When I was 17 I worked as a summer camp counselor. The week of our orientation, before the campers arrived, all of the counselors were down by the lake when we started the game of truth or dare. Everybody was pretty normal except for this quiet girl that was a Disney freak. Everything Disney, pajamas, sleeping bag, hair ties, t-shirts, all Disney, all the time. Being 17-year-olds up in the woods our truths and dares turned sexual pretty quickly. After finishing my dare I turned to her and asked truth or dare? Truth, was the reply. Okay. Have you ever had sex? I asked. Yes. But only with one person. My father. It started when I was 12. Game. Ducking. Over. Edit. For the people asking for a follow-up, many of the female counselors and naturalists spoke with her that night and the next morning. Her father had been jailed a few years prior to her telling us. In college there was 8 of us playing truth or dare, 4 girls 4 guys, we were all ducking drunk. Anyway, I got dared to make out with each girl. Not a big deal, right? Some of the makeout sessions got a little heated. Shirts came off and there was some gentle, we are girls, touching. There were pictures. So many pictures. Frat boys are frat boys, all the pictures were on a wall in their house. Classmates were playing truth or dare. A girl got dared to lick the inside of a guy's belly button. It was both hilarious and revolting. Edit. No, I do not know you and was not in school with you. I was dared to hump this big tree in the front yard. Not that bad. The problem was that I was wearing short shorts and I ran to the tree and jumped as high as I could. I started humping, but while doing that I slid down the tree with my bare legs. Both of my thighs were severely scraped up. So I almost exclusively played this game as a late teen early 20s bisexual man. There were no downsides. Almost every truth or dare memory ranges from fair to awesome. I love that game. The last time I played it, I had a foursome. I love that game. I don't care about your horror stories. I wanna play truth or dare. Fairly tame but seasonally timely. In high school a group of friends were playing Todd Drunk after a party at my house. One of my friends had a crush on a girl and was trying hard to get with her. So when it was her turn to ask him, he suavely stated dare. She told him to put one of the lights adorning the nearby Christmas tree into his dick hole. He did. She was disgusted and ended up loudly hooking up with another friend in an adjacent room, like soul-crushingly loud, while he sat on the couch nursing his burnt meatus. 'Tis the season, I guess. Technically this is totally the best, but my boyfriend was dared to swap underwear with me for a good half hour. I was wearing a thong. Buddy with a stunt gun for dared to let his girlfriend zap him that same night. It was a good night. I know this is a little late, but in a drinking game version of Truth or Dare in university, I got my buddy to place our other friends, who was of Middle Eastern culture that didn't allow trimming of hair, whole beard inside of his mouth for 5 or 10 seconds. I still laugh and shudder simultaneously when I think about it. After my next dare made a huge mess of the apartment, 2 scoops of Raisin Bran down Scott's pants for the remainder of the game. I wasn't allowed to play their drinking game anymore. Good times. I was at a truth or dare party in college. Everyone pays $5 to get in and gets the same allotment of Monopoly money. You bet people to do things and accept bets, and whoever has the most at the end of the night got to keep the door. Greatest party ever. I just dared girls to make out with me all night. Until I ran out of money. So I had to accept a couple dares. Someone dared this other guy to eat a zebra cake off my ass. And dared me to drop Tro and allow him to. I figured. I'm not eating it. No big deal. It wasn't that terrible. But it did get my ass all sticky. I also felt like I couldn't really complain. Because of what the other guy had to do. Not truth or dare, but never have I ever. We were playing any, my friend's husband was there, we are all in college, and after losing every round he was very irritated. He's also in the army and has served 3 tours in Iraq. Well, we are all pretty drunk at this point, so my friend can't think of anything he hasn't done and says never have I ever killed someone. This guy jumps up, screams "Goddammit, how do I keep losing?" and walks away. His wife was like, "Hey honey, it's because you have the most interesting life." TLDR guy admits that he had killed people. A friend of mine was asked if she would ever willingly be part of a gangbang. She quickly said yes. We were all in shock. I explained what a gangbang is, then she answered, "Oh. Yay." Not truth or dare, but I lost a poker game to my husband. The bet was that I'd be available for 6 at all times for a week.